Streaming now, this is the Wood TV Live Desk.
And good morning, everyone. Phil Penarski here with the Wood TV Live Desk. Hope you're having a great start to your Friday. And Michigan really is in the center of the football world right now. You have the Detroit Lions that won the NFC North for the first time in their first division win in over 30 years. The University of Michigan Wolverines are playing in the national championship on Monday. And of course, the Michigan Panthers have survived the merger between the USFL and the XFL and will be joining the newly formed United Football League. And we are once again honored to be joined by the head man for your Michigan Panthers, head coach Mike Nolan. Coach, it is so good to see you again.
Thank you. It's very good to speak with you. I shouldn't say see you, but speak with you again. Well,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were very excited. I mean, we were talking a little bit before the stream started that when the XFL and USFL announced the merger, we were, kind of excited that the two spring football leagues were going to be coming together to form this, united front. But I was a little worried going into it that, maybe the Panthers wouldn't survive, but thankfully they did. I kind of just, it's been a whirlwind since the last time you were on the live desk. Talk a little bit about that whole process when you first heard about the merger to really now when you know that there is going to be spring football again here in Michigan.
Well, when I heard about the merger a few months back, I was really excited actually because it's difficult for two leagues to really exist in the spring, and the fact that they came together, I think, is a great thing going forward. Naturally, we're going to reduce the number of teams going forward. It's kind of like what Daryl Johnson said the other day. He said we want to crawl, then walk, and then run, and this kind of puts us back in a crawl state. But I think that's the right place to start when you're trying to put these two leagues together. So I was very excited when that happened. Naturally, everyone was a little bit kind of on the edge of their seat about, well, what teams will be, which teams will stay, which will go. And I think because of our fans in Detroit and in Michigan as a whole, I think also the fact that Ford Field, I think those were two determining factors as far as why our team was retained. We had a successful season, but so did some other teams that were no longer continued. But I think that was why we were retained. I don't know the whole story. Naturally, that was the business side of it. But I'm glad we were, because I think we got a great bunch of guys that on our football team, and I know that we'll continue to add good players as we go forward.
And really the big key here is that, Michigan will once again have spring football. But now for you, kind of speaking as the guy leading the team, I mean, you guys are really only a few weeks away from really the start of the season. I mean, how does it feel to really be back, knowing you've got another year ahead of you in the new United Football League?
Well, it's an exciting time because right now we're kind of all putting our rosters together. There's some changes in the roster, which it will be every year, just like in the NFL. And and so right now we're going through that today. As a matter of fact, there'll be a dispersal draft, they call it, where the four teams that were no longer continued. It's approximately 200 players. Really, we'll have a draft today of about 20 rounds, and we'll pick from those players that are on teams that weren't continued. So that's an exciting thing for everyone as far as going forward, because naturally we're going to all improve our football teams. And that's one of the fallouts from really what has happened. I think the talent level is going to take a step up because there's going to be fewer teams to handle it. So there'll be more competition for the positions. But so right now we're also putting schemes and things together, getting ready. We have a little bit more than a month to get ready before we go to training camp. But whenever it comes to players, I think that's an exciting time, because that's really what it's all about. Our league is about the players, trying to get them to the NFL and to stay in the NFL. And so right now is the time when, whether we're adding players to our roster or whether we are working on the football that they will do, those are the two things I think that make it the most fun.
Absolutely. And I do want to remind everybody watching that regarding the dispersal draft and really everything, all the news that you need to know about the UFL, you can find everything over on our website, woodtv.com. We'll be updating it with all the news from the dispersal draft. Coach, kind of switching over a little bit, a lot of new faces that you're going to be kind of getting to know as the season gets on. But kind of want to talk about you coming back specifically to the team. You guys had a lot of success making it to the playoffs. You actually turned around a team that had the first overall pick and was towards the bottom of the USFL in season 1, and managed again to make it all the way to the playoffs and nearly making it to the USFL championship last year. Was that kind of what drew you back into wanting to really stick around here in Michigan and then also participate in the first ever UFL season?
I tell you what, the number one thing that brought me back, naturally, the things you just said are all correct. I mean, the season that we had, the way we turned it around, getting into the playoffs and all that. But the number one thing for me is really the people. I think last year was as much fun as I've had in my 40 plus years of coaching. It was all because of the people. I thought the people that were on staff, I thought the players that we coached, the coaches that were on staff, the entire league from Daryl Johnston, just everyone involved, I thought all had the right motive in mind. I mean, we were about the players. We were trying to help these players perform at a high level. We were trying to put a good product on the field for the fans, which I think we did an excellent job of. It was also a great experience to play in Ford Field for our players and our coaches and everybody, the fans. I think that's an exciting thing. I think it appeared to me too that it was a great family event. I mean, at the games, it seemed like, there was a lot of families at the thing. There was parents with their children and all that. Whereas in an NFL game, sometimes the ticket's so expensive, you see a lot of the older crowd, but you don't see many of the kids at the games because I think the ticket's too much. But in our case, I thought that helped. Like I said, I thought it was a great family event, and that's what you saw at the game. So everything about the USFL a year ago and UFL going forward is, I think it's got the motivations for it. What we're trying to accomplish is all right in line with also making it a great experience for the fans. So just all the way around, everybody that was involved, I really found it to be just an exciting, but also just an enjoyable, time to do. So I was really excited that we were, one of the teams that were kept and got a chance to do it again. I think going forward, naturally, Michigan should be a very strong hub. So I'm really excited about, the future, especially the league.
Absolutely, and we love that Ford Field is going to be continuing serving as the home for the Panthers. Coach, kind of questioning a little bit. You've obviously spent a year with the USFL. You've played against every team that did come over to the United Football League, so you have a little bit of film, a little bit of experience against them. But the XFL, there's 4 new teams that you haven't faced off yet. Have you gotten a chance to kind of look at the film, maybe taking a look at these teams and seeing what they have in store?
Great question, but the answer is I have not. Now, I'll say this, there'll be plenty of time for that after this dispersal draft, and then we have another league-wide dispersal draft on the 15th of January. So I believe at that time, or just after that, we'll begin to really hone in on the other teams that we did not play a year ago. I think it'd be the same for the teams that were last year's XFL teams that were continued. I think they're in the same kind of boat. They're doing the same thing within the XFL today that we're doing as far as the dispersal draft. But after that, then I think we'll all pay a little bit closer attention to what the 8-team league looks like rather than right now just the 4, because I think there'll be time for that. But that is going to be a fun time, though, looking at the other teams and seeing some new teams you're going to play that you hadn't played yet. It's always, that's always an exciting time. Sizing up their players, how we match up, seeing what schemes you might need to do. I'm not even sure what kind of systems that they run on the other teams, as they are about us. There's still some unknowns, but I think everybody will start to cross over and look after, or at least I'd say after this draft, if not this one, the one that's in the middle of January.
Right, now you got to wait for the full teams to be set before you can even think about starting the film sessions. Coach, with this league, I mean, there are obviously tons of fans for the USFL, and there were tons of fans for the XFL, and then you also have a couple of football fans in general who maybe didn't see the appeal to spring football. Now that you guys are a united front, now that there's only one spring football league and you've got great players trying to make it to the NFL, I mean, what do you have to say for kind of this new league, and then also for those people that maybe don't believe in spring football or don't think that the league can last? I mean, what do you have to say to those people?
I think that they'll be wrong for one. I think it's going to be a great event. It's going to be something that continues because we're doing it the right way as far as building it. And the fact that the 2 leagues have merged and now there's only one spring football league, not 2 competing against each other. I think that's a real positive. I believe at some point the NFL will probably identify with us also. And when that happens, they'll even become more apart. When people see the 2 combined, when people see that the NFL supports it, I think you're going to get that fan base too to say, hey, I need to look over there a little bit because these are the players that are coming back to our league and playing. It might be a good idea to get familiar with some of those players. And if some of those players are allotted by teams, say there's the players on our roster could possibly be allotted to us by teams in the North area, meaning the Green Bay, the Detroit, the Chicago, those teams and all. In Minnesota, if those are the players that are being allotted to us, I'm just kind of jumping forward. But if that happens, something like that, then naturally the fan base up there will be looking at the guys that will be in their area as well. So I think that's another exciting thing. But one of the things that keeps popping in my head too, though, like I said earlier, and it's a real positive to the league, is I think it's a great family event. I think it's something that right now that parents can bring their children to, or even a group of people that work together can come and enjoy a game, have a great time, and enjoy professional football, because that's exactly what it is. And it's going to be one step better than it was a year ago, because now you've taken 16 teams down to 8. So naturally, your talent pool is going to be much stronger for the 8 teams than it was before. I really believe that the way it's being done, that spring football is here to stay, and I think it's going to be the UFL going forward, and I think it's just going to grow every year.
Right. No, and speaking from experience, those games are a heck of a lot of fun, seeing them in person. Coach, before we let you go, obviously you've kind of explained what you're really excited about, but is there one thing in particular that you're looking forward to now that the UFL is really only a couple weeks away from the beginning of it, and you guys are already really starting to fill out your teams?
What immediately comes into my mind is our players and coaches, but our players, I already know our coaches, but our players, because right now we're putting our roster together. So it's really exciting to get to know these young men. They're all in it for the right reasons. And for that, that's what I'm looking forward to. It was such an uplifting experience last year to be around these young men and how positive they are about what they're doing. And they're just trying as hard as they can to get to the NFL, get that shot. But at the same time, they come together as a team, and that's really, really exciting to watch as a coach when your team starts to gel, which our team did last year very well towards the end of the season, and it became a lot of fun.
Well, we're very excited for the upcoming season. Again, Coach, thank you so much for stopping by. I do want to remind everybody that woodtv.com is actually going to be your home for everything UFL related. We will have everything you need to know regarding today's dispersal draft, next or a couple weeks from now, the dispersal draft, and everything leading up to the season and all throughout the season. So be sure to head on over to our website, woodtv.com. Coach, again, thank you so much for stopping by the live desk. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Phil. Always a pleasure.
Of course. And I want to thank everybody else for tuning into this latest edition of the Wood TV Live Desk. I'm Phil Pinarski, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.